There's a saying, where hawks circle, death follows. At this time, the blood of the orthodox, unorthodox, and demonic were all mixed together, overflowing like a river, a calamity to be exact. An orthodox and unorthodox demonic war is a long nightmare, leaving behind nothing but piercing agony. At last, it came to an end, only by declaration of unity from the absolute rulers of each faction. Since then, 19 years have passed. The clueless call the current Jianghu an era of peace. But the real ones know that right now, the most covert war in history is in full swing. Now, a guy was walking while reading a book under the beautiful shade of the moonlight. The book contained records of the constant embezzlement of the divine cult's funds, leaking classified internal documents to the Muram Alliance, even the unauthorized surveillance of specific cult members. He closed the book, then sighed in disbelief. With a slight grin, he commented, saying that the bastards in the book needed to have their entire bloodline beaten down to the 3rd generation. Now, they're crawling out endlessly like goddamn rats, daring to commit espionage in the sacred land of Mount Tian Shan. Overflowing with the cult leader's grace, he arrived in front of a building where some guards were stationed. Upon seeing him, one of the guards asked what the hell he was lurking around the building for, then told him to get lost now, questioning if he even knew whose residence this was. With a gloomy face and a calm tone, the guy replied, "Of course I do. It is the home of Yangwu, a 5th-ranked demon and vice commander of the military corps." He then told them to stop talking and just open the damn door already since he had things to do. The guard couldn't believe his ears. He thought the guy was crazy, so he asked him if he had lost his damn mind. "Who the hell do you think you are, ordering someone to open the door of the vice commander's house?" But to his surprise, he was attacked by his own men. The guy told him to obey his command, then knocked him unconscious. The other guard couldn't believe his eyes. He scolded the guy for being a traitor, but he was attacked from behind by the 4th guard. The 2 of them stepped forward and greeted the squad leader. The guy was from the Heavenly Demon Divine Cult Intelligence Unit, and he was the Counterintelligence Corps' 3rd squad leader. Zhang Yiseo, the grim reaper of spy hunting, and the protagonist of this story. Yiseo complimented them since they went through hell infiltrating first. Now, he told the Counterintelligence Corps' 3rd squad that from now on, under the authority granted by the cult leader, they would root out the Muram Alliance spies. They all obeyed, and so they charged out to carry out the mission. 3 unfortunate guards were the first to greet Yama. The other 3 drew out their swords to attack, but they were completely overwhelmed and taken down. Amidst the ongoing chaos, someone hurriedly ran into the room of the vice commander of the military corps, Yangwu. He forcefully opened the door and panicked, telling him they were in big trouble. While the vice commander was enjoying his moment, he told him that a while ago, some unidentified bastards stormed in, and they started attacking everyone in the building. Hearing this, he angrily gritted his teeth, then asked the man what bullshit he was talking about. "Who would dare invade my home?" The man stuttered in fear, telling him the situation escalated so suddenly that they hadn't been able to grasp the full picture yet, and they were barely managing to hold them off. Yangwu angrily called them useless fools for daring to disturb him just when he was getting fired up. He put on his clothes, then asked if a bunch of crazed bandits had lost their minds and come charging in, but he doubted it, because if that were the case, his subordinates would have handled it without all the ongoing commotion. The man apologized, then told the vice commander to please hurry, because at this rate, they might be completely wiped out in an instant. Yangwu then drew out his sword, pointed it at the man's neck and asked, "Who the hell are you?" The man, shaking all over, asked the vice commander why he was suddenly acting this way. Yangwu told him he schemed pretty well but overlooked one thing, that he remembered everything that belonged to him, his money, his treasures, the women he had spent the night with, even the lowest lackeys under his command. Every single one of them, and yet, in all my memories, I don't recall ever seeing a bastard like you. So I ask again, who the hell are you? The man's expression immediately went pale and speechless. With a slight grin, he remarked that he was hoping to drag him outside and deal with him the easy way. A bit pissed that things just don't go his way, he then removed his mask and told the vice commander, "Old cult members like you are pretty sharp." The vice commander was shocked as he saw the man's real face. He couldn't believe it was the mad dog of the Counterintelligence Corps, Zhang Yiseo. He asked Yiseo why he was here. Yiseo told him to stop stating the obvious, then said, "It's because we got a report that you're a spy." The vice commander's face immediately went pale. He angrily lashed out. "What kind of bullshit is that?" he remarked. "There's no cultist as loyal as me, and you dare call me a spy? I refuse such false accusations." But Yiseo told him that a week ago, near Hubei province, he hit a merchant caravan there. As if that wasn't enough, he slaughtered all the merchants and raped the women. The vice commander asked if Yiseo was trying to bring that up now, saying it wasn't a big deal since you know as well as anyone that in our demonic cult, such an act is just a traditional form of entertainment, nothing more. "So why the hell are you suddenly acting righteous?" Yiseo told him. "It's because we received intel that those merchants were affiliated with the Muram Alliance." Then, he told the vice commander to stop acting, since his so-called entertainment was nothing but a smokescreen to make contact with his handlers. He deliberately raided them just to set up a meeting with his contact. Yiseo expressed his disappointment at how relentless spies are these days. The vice commander told Yiseo the accusations were ridiculous, since he had never, not once, acted as a spy. He told Yiseo to bring proof. He should show him evidence, since he can't just accuse him based on some baseless tip-off. Iseo told him not to worry, since they'd already secured all the evidence they needed. From the secret letter stamped with the Muram Alliance's official seal that he hid in his room to all the treasures embezzled as spy funds, every last bit of it. Confident in his underlings' competent skills, the vice commander froze as he heard there's a secret letter from the Muram Alliance, and the spy funds Iseo mentioned. He found it to be insane, not knowing how something like that would be in his house. He thought no matter how he thought about it, something was really off here. Even if the counterintelligence corps answered directly to the cult leader, there's no way they could carry out such a reckless execution without any proper procedure. It was as if the entire setup was orchestrated from the start to capture him, so he wondered who the hell could have framed him like this, since there's no one who would go so far as to take him down. Seeing the evil expression on Iseo's face, he angrily jumped out to attack, questioning Iseo if he was the one who orchestrated everything. Angry that he's the bastard who dared to pull such a filthy trick on him. But Iseo performed a swift technique that unarmed the vice commander's sword, grabbed his hand, twisted it, making him turn mid-air, then stepped on him with full force, making him cough in pain. Iseo told him it wasn't a trick, and only a spy would spout such righteous nonsense. He never thought he'd dare spew such reckless words at a squad leader of the counterintelligence corps, a unit that answered directly to the cult leader. He brought out a scroll, then told the vice commander to kneel quietly and accept his fate. He would now deliver the cult leader's decree. According to the decree, the 5th-ranked demon, Yongwu, the truth of his betrayal, as revealed through the informants, was nothing short of deeply regrettable. Thus, in accordance with the cult's doctrine, a fitting punishment shall be delivered. While Iseo was still reading, the vice commander took his sword and sliced the scroll in half, then panicked and ran out. Iseo was pissed that he dared to recklessly defile the cult leader's decree, and according to the decree, he was told to eliminate the spy, Yongwu. Yongwu charged out through the window to run for his life, knowing that Iseo was a popularly known mad dog, and anyone who got accused of being a spy by him, not a single one of them ever came back alive. He really didn't know why Iseo was pulling such a stunt on him, but he knew he had to run if he wanted to live, and he'd deal with the false charge later when he somehow returned. But on his way fleeing, Iseo threw a weapon at him, which pierced through his chest, making him cough out blood. And under the beautiful shade of the moonlit sky, Iseo performed a beautiful technique with his wire weapon, which immediately tangled Yongwu. With just a slight yet powerful movement from his hand, he dismembered Yongwu. Yongwu asked who ordered it, but as per the order from the cult leader, immediate execution. His body fell to the ground. Iseo grinned stiffly, remarking internally that he's asking the wrong question. Instead of who ordered it, he should have asked why it had to be him. Just like Yongwu said, it's just another routine occurrence. So being falsely accused, framed for a crime, and dying in vain was also another routine occurrence in this goddamn demonic cult. Though Iseo was known as the squad leader of the Heavenly Demon Divine Cult's counterintelligence corps, in truth, his real identity was a spy dispatched by the Muram Alliance. In the outskirts of the Heavenly Demonic Cult's 10,000 mountains, Iseo moved a cart to a rundown house. Then he stopped moving the cart. He complained about how heavy the cart was, since he almost dislocated his shoulder trying to carry it alone, saying there's no labor as hard as this. He opened the cart, and with a grin on his face, he never expected Yongwu, the pig, to have such wealth, then wished him goodbye since he was truly an excellent member of the cult. Although that was the reason he killed him. He saluted him, telling him to rest in peace and that he would make good use of his money. He placed his hand on the cart, planning to sort the money out later. For now, he decided to check his room. He opened the door and saw the hair stuck in the door crack. Also, the position of the tables, the wrinkles on the carpet on the floor, even the spider webs by the window. Everything was just as it was. He was relieved to see everything intact. The reason he's so sensitive about security is that he's a spy. To be precise, he's part of the secret organization dispatched by the Muram Alliance called Hidden Pavilion. 19 years ago, even after the peace treaty, the Muram Alliance leader, who couldn't trust the evil groups, founded the secret organization in preparation for the future. Composed of chosen individuals through harsh training, the organization carried out numerous missions in secret. Among them, a select few elite were dispatched to the land of evil and demons for a single mission, which was waiting for special orders, and Iseo is one of them. But even he had no idea what his mission was. Thinking about it again pissed him off since he had no idea why on earth he hadn't received the mission yet. Though he deemed it nice to make money and have many subordinates, he found it unbearable to be living like this for 14 years without any support. Thanks to having learned a skill, he had been living well, or so he thought. His expression immediately changed. His awareness immediately shifted to his roof. Above him was someone using stealth. He had no idea who the heck the bastard was. Speechless for a moment, he then attacked the guy with his weapon, slashing the roof, but he was surprised to see the guy had disappeared. What's more shocking was that he was unable to detect the guy's movement. But to his surprise, the guy appeared behind him. He swiftly turned around and dodged the guy's attack, with a little scratch on his face. He deemed the guy not to be normal, knowing he might die if he let his guard down. They exchanged multiple blows, each strike lethal and precise. Then bang, they slammed their hands together. But Iseo sneakily used his weapon to surround the guy. The guy was surprised to see himself surrounded by the flying dagger's thread, But before he could do anything, Yiseo had already pinned him down, unable to escape. At least, that's what Yiseo thought. But the guy escaped his entanglement, which he never expected. He immediately looked back, wondering who the heck he was. With his level of skill, he must be at least at the hall leader's level. The guy brought out a dagger, then shot it at Yiseo, but Yiseo parried it away with his hand, piercing the wood. He was surprised to see something on the paper, but what's more shocking was the hidden pavilion symbol on the dagger. He hurriedly turned around to ask for the guy's identity, but the guy was nowhere to be found. He gritted his teeth, seeing that the guy disappeared so quickly, just like that. He calmed down as he realized the guy wasn't trying to kill him based on the way he slipped away, which made him wonder if the guy's goal was to test him. He took the dagger from the wall, removed the paper, then read the content. The command was for Hidden Pavilions number 103, which was Yiseo, to make the demonic cult's 7th young master the vice cult leader. Yiseo was pissed by the command. He angrily squeezed the paper. He couldn't believe the grand order they were going to issue after making him hide for 14 years was to make the 7th young master the vice cult leader. Yiseo was really angry because the bastard was a goddamn loser whom even the cult leader threw away, so he deemed such a mission utter nonsense. Morning reached. In the Hubei region, famous for its lush, daunting lake and dense mountains, the Muram Alliance branch located there appeared to be just an ordinary public institution that was peacefully serene on the surface. However, it was merely a camouflage to confuse outsiders. The truth hidden beneath the manor was the base of the Hidden Pavilion, the strongest intelligence organization of the Muram Alliance. A place where even names were treated as confidential. A girl entered a room, then politely said she had just received a report from the messenger dispatched to the 10,000 Mountains area. He had successfully delivered the order to number 103. The girl was the Hidden Pavilion's vice leader, Yahello, and they used the first-person POV to interact in the organization to avoid revealing their names. She cheerfully told her grandpa she had a question. Her grandpa scolded her and told her to stop speaking in such a mannerless way. He had told her repeatedly that here, they must strictly distinguish between public and private matters. The man was the former advisor of the Muram Alliance and the leader of the Hidden Pavilion, Jaegal. She immediately apologized but sulkingly said to herself that they had come to work together just fine earlier, and now he was acting up again. But she was used to it since her grandpa had always been unpredictable whenever he acted as the pavilion leader. The man then calmed down and asked her what it was she wanted to ask. She stuttered, then replied, saying she was curious about his intentions regarding the mission assigned to number 103 because giving an order to make the demonic cult's good-for-nothing the vice leader to a spy left, unattended for 14 years was practically impossible. The man laughed and told her she still had much to learn, even though she was a promising talent of this era. Now, with a serious expression, he asked her as the vice leader how long she thought the peace in Muram would last. She couldn't reply, to which he said, 3 years. At most, 3 years. She sat down, surprised. The people who had achieved the current peace had grown old, he remarked. Soon, a new era's storm would blow through orthodox, unorthodox, and demon alike. So, to protect the current peace against that storm, they could not just make a single move, they must mobilize every available tactic. In other words, number 103 is merely one of the clever moves we can use, he added. He continued, saying that soon, the demonic cult leader, heavenly demon Jinwu Guang, would choose a vice cult leader from among his 7 children. The most likely candidates were the cold and calculating first young master, followed by the charismatic and loyal second young master, and the third young lady, who was well known for her intelligence. All 3 were extremely capable, and if any succeeded the heavenly demon, the second orthodox-unorthodox demonic war would break out. What all this means is that after 19 years, the seeds we, the Hidden Pavilion, have sown will fully bear fruit, and every single one of them is for the peace of the martial world, he commented. She was speechless. Then, with a grin, she thanked the pavilion leader since her curiosity had been satisfied. Now she told him she'd go meet the other members and that she'd see him later during the report. She then left. The room went silent as he drank his drink, then placed his cup on the table. He recalled when he first saw number 103. From their first meeting, the kid was filled with sharp venom directed at the world. Yet because of his love for his only flesh and blood, he chose a life in the shadows in exchange for sending his younger sister for adoption. He then corrected the vice leader's words. Number 103 had not been left unattended because he was one of the top trainees in the history of the Hidden Pavilion. Someone who, at the age of 14, had already mastered elder-level techniques and was recognized by the Alliance leader as a prodigy of the heavens. The most lethal dagger, hidden away for this very moment. The pavilion leader was already looking forward to it. He wondered how much he had grown. A few hours ago, in the artisan village, a settlement of artisans from the demonic cult, Yiseo was walking through. As he walked, he said to himself that the more he thought about it, the more annoying and infuriating it was. Those damned old men of the Muram Alliance. They were the ones who buried them in this remote mountain valley. And now they issue this kind of order. They didn't stop there. They even sent a master so skilled that one rarely sees even in the Hidden Pavilion. Yiseo was angry, and wondered if this was their way of making sure they never forgot that they were beneath them. From the first day, Yuseo became part of the hidden pavilion on the condition of adopting his younger brother. That was the day they implanted poison worm into his heart. From that moment, he was nothing more than someone permitted only to walk toward the tip of the blade they pointed at him. He could only do as they commanded. Yuseo sighed and said, well, what choice did he have but to follow all their commands? If they told him to jump, he had to jump, given the circumstances. But for now, he decided that he would start his mission from here. In the spy organization, securing a useful network of contacts was crucial. Some of the key networks of contacts included the White Raven Hall, a group that cleans up crime scenes tainted by missions. The River Willow Guest House, disguised as an inn near 10,000 Mountains. It secretly distributes the latest news from the Central Plains. And finally, the Jaegal Study Hall. This very place. It appeared to be just an ordinary study hall, but in reality, only a few people knew the truth. This study hall was the marketplace where all the demonic cult secrets were traded. Looking up, Jang Yuseo thought. The audacity of this Jaegal study hall amazes him, to think they boldly operate under the name of a prestigious Orthodox clan as their storefront. They have so much audacity, they must have strong backing. As he reached out to the door lock, he opened it and stepped inside. But once inside, he saw that somebody was already there. He was a little surprised. Did someone get here before him? He couldn't let that bother him for now. The first essential skill for a spy is the ability to assess others with minimal information. First, he assessed the lady's height. From a distance, he could see that he was taller than her. He noticed an elegant neckline that effortlessly drew attention and a silky, flawless hair. To the average person, this lady's features would be captivating. But if one let themselves be dazzled by such things, they would miss what was truly important. They wouldn't see the essence of the person before them. But suddenly, the lady noticed that he was staring at her. She asked, "What is with that unpleasant gaze?" Our MC smiled and apologized. He said he didn't mean to stare, it was just that such an exquisite disguise was a rare sight in this place. He could tell that the lady was in disguise, this was not her real face. The lady was surprised. What does he mean by that? Jang Yuseo quickly changed the topic. Anyway, it's a pleasure to meet you, young lady. He then asked, so what kind of book brought her all the way here? Leaning in closer, he added, perhaps is she looking for a secret manual to win the heart of a man she fancy? Then, looking around, he said, if so, he can recommend a good one for her. There should be something useful around this part of the shelf. But in anger, the lady slammed her hand on a book. How vulgar, she snapped. To think that someone would dare harass a lady even in a place like this. She began to unleash demonic energy, preparing to attack our MC. She then asked, hope he's prepared to face the consequences of harassing her? But our MC could already sense the attack. With a smirk, he said he's always prepared for anything. But if she insists on getting involved with a lowly thug like him, then it's not his concern. Although he imagined it would only be a loss for a young lady like her. The girl gritted her teeth in anger. You bastard, she spat. She told him he'd better watch his mouth unless he wanted to die an untimely death, but our MC only smiled. Now that's the kind of fiery personality I like. Yuseo then said that he hoped they meet again. If she ever need book recommendations, she should just hit him up. He'll always be available. But before he could finish, the lady abruptly left, slamming the door behind her, leaving his words unheard and unanswered. Jang Yuseo smiled to himself. That should be enough for a first impression. Yes, he thought, that should be enough. It seemed like he already knew who she was, and could see through her disguise. Just as our MC was thinking nothing but thoughts, the store owner walked up toward him, wondering what kind of madman was making such a ruckus in broad daylight, only to find out it was Jang Yuseo. The name of the bookstore owner is Jaegal Guirong. He is a book shopkeeper, a native of 10,000 Mountains, the heart of the demonic cults, and a man who calls himself a descendant of the Jaegal Liang. He asked what Yuseo thinks he's doing to the customers. But Yuseo replied with a question of his own, asking why Guirong is always so prickly. Guirong told Yuseo to never mind, and to just get to the point already, just tell him the reason why he came to the store. Yuseo hurriedly reached into the pocket on his chest and brought out a bag of gold coins. He then told Guirong the reason for his visit, he needed a biography. With a serious expression, Guirong asked him whose biography he wanted. Yuseo replied, the biography of the little demon of 10,000 Mountains. Guirong asked how much information he needed. Yuseo answered naturally, he wanted all of it. With a knowing look, Guirong asked if Yuseo was scheming something shady, but our MC shot back, why is he so curious? Does he want to join in on the scheme? Guirong told him to cut the nonsense and follow him. He then made a gesture toward one of the books, one that seemed to be the key to a secret vault. As Guirong lifted the book, a hidden passage opened, and they stepped inside. As they walked, Guirong told Yuseo that considering the person they were dealing with, there was bound to be a lot to uncover. That was why he had brought him to the secret vault. A few hours later, it was already sunset. Yuseo had gathered enough books and was reading through the information while eating some snacks. Meanwhile, on the rooftop, that woman whom our MC encountered in the bookstore called out to a man named Naraka, the third-rank Phantom Sentinel. She asked, "Naraka, did you find out whose information that guy bought from Guirong?" Naraka replied, as per her orders, he questioned Guirong about the guy's intentions, but Guirong refused to reveal it. The woman frowned. What was that? Guirong refused? Naraka nodded. Yes. Guirong seems to have some attachment to that guy, so he held back. He then asked her, shall he take other measures to fish out the information? But the woman shook her head. No, he should leave it. She already have her answer. She explained that for Guirong to refuse to speak, even when questioned by her, there was only one group of people in the demonic cults that he wouldn't dare mention his business with, and that was her father and them, the 7 siblings. She began pulling off her mask. Now she's even more curious. Not only did that guy immediately see through the infiltration marks crafted by the cult's top technician, but he also sensed when she was about to attack him and skillfully diffused the situation, and now he's digging into their affairs. She fully removed her mask and turned to Naraka. Find out everything about him. His origins, his affiliations, she wanted all. As her face was revealed, she turned out to be Sane Young, the Snowflower Sword Empress, and the third daughter of the demonic cults. With that, they left the rooftop. Back outside the bookstore, Iseo had finished reading through one of the books. He muttered, this should be enough to get a rough idea of things. Iseo could tell from the onset that the lady was monitoring him from the rooftop. He was like, don't worry, we'll be seeing each other again very soon, Sane Young. Because she was the first step in his plan. From the very beginning, he knew the masked lady was Sane Young, the third daughter of the demonic cults. She was born with the best intelligence and talents in the 10,000 mountains, and she was an unusually strong candidate for the position of the heavenly demon as a woman. In addition, her closest bodyguard, Naraka, was also a powerful figure. With martial arts and literary skills comparable to that of a hall leader, he was one of the most formidable individuals even within the demonic cults. As Iseo read all this information from the book, he felt a tinge of regret. Why had he approached her in such a reckless way? He could have done it differently. But there was a reason for his approach, a reason that was obvious. It's all because of that bastard, the 7th adopted son of the heavenly demon Maho. Maho hailed from the 3 great noble families of the demonic cults, born with a heavenly yang body constitution that accumulates innate chi. Even with male birth he is a golden spoon among golden spoons, or so they say. But in reality, everything is a lie. Maho is a fool who thinks he's the best in the 10,000 mountains, simply because of ignorance and an inherently lazy personality that even beats the summer grasshopper. On top of that, he has done insane things, like selling the divine items bestowed by the heavenly demon as collateral at gambling. Maho is a good-for-nothing young master whose support has been completely cut off. The only one he can rely on is the third young lady, Saher Young, and they are as close as siblings. If Iseo want to move Maho according to his will, she is the crucial part of his plan, and that is why he approached her that way. He knew he didn't make the best impression at their first encounter, but at the same time he had no choice. When receiving such a pointless command from his superior, what should he do? His superior told Iseo to make the unruly 7th young master the vice cult leader, and the first thing he needed to do was quickly determine what action to take. He began digging the soil with a shovel, looking for something. As he was digging, he told himself that despite the 7th young master being a good-for-nothing, he was still an eminent figure belonging to the first rank of demons. For someone like Iseo, who was merely the lowest of the lows in terms of rank, approaching the 7th young master was practically impossible. Therefore, he needed to rise to the position of an aide for the 7th young master, Maho. Fortunately, this aide position had been vacant for years. If he passed the job application, he would have a good shot at it. But the only problem was that greedy squad leader, he wouldn't let Iseo off easily. He would definitely want to benefit from him. Now, to solve that issue, Iseo said he had no choice but to resort to bribery. He walked up to a particular spot near a hole, obviously a well. 7 years ago, on a certain day, Iseo was searching for a safe place to hide the valuables he had smuggled, which he was lucky enough to get through espionage. Then, he accidentally discovered this abandoned well. Back then, he couldn't have imagined that inside the well, he would have such a lucky encounter. With glee, he said, "It's been a while. It's good to see you again, my heavenly demon vault." Here, he stored his gold and all his earnings, which he had achieved over the years. Just looking at the jewels, he felt satisfaction. They looked even better, considering they had been taken from behind the demonic cult's back. While stroking them, Iseo said to himself that if he had been in the Muram Alliance, even if 3 generations of his family worked to death, they wouldn't have been able to accumulate 1/10 of these riches and jewels. He wondered which one would be best to bribe his squad leader. He picked up a sword and said, "This one is perfect." It was a fine sword mixed with the purest gold, a gold sundering blade. If his squad leader, who was obsessed with golden swords, saw this, he would go crazy over it. So Iseo concluded that he would take the sword with him and use it to bribe the squad leader. But as he was about to leave, he looked around and said, "Since you've come this far." He was tempted to try his luck again. Inside this well, there was a secret room, a room he had been trying to unlock for years but had failed over 1,000 times. He wondered if he should try messing with it again and see if he could finally unlock it. The wall was called the Demonic Wall, and it was one of the lucky encounters he had obtained from this heavenly demonic vault. Now he decided to try unlocking it again. First, he used the white flying dagger, a weapon capable of unleashing white lightning. Second, he activated a demonic art on the dagger that explosively accelerated the flow of chi, transforming it into the ultimate thunder. Altogether, this technique was called the Thunder Transforming Technique. With his body blazing with lightning and his eyes filled with fury, he launched the dagger toward the wall, pouring more energy into the attack. But the Guardian inscription would not budge. The only way to unlock the door was to add more energy, otherwise it wouldn't move. He kept adding more force and said, "He can't give up now, just a little bit more." The inscription told him that he needed to fill the 2 carved eyeballs with lightning. Once he did that, the seal on the door would break. Yahello kept on adding more force to the spear and the dagger, but just as it was about to reach its climax, the demonic wall repelled his attacks. It seemed like his energy was not enough, and it sent the daggers flying back to him. As Yahello caught them, he thought, "Damn." He sighed, thinking today might be the day, and laid on the ground. Out loud, he said that this marked the 9,828th attempt at opening this demonic door. He speculated that the reason he had been failing must be his body. With 9 holes in his dantian, known as the 9 holes body constitution, even if he obtained the inner chi, it kept leaking away, so there was hardly any progress at all. But thanks to the thunder ginseng that was in the well, he became capable of enduring the thunder chi, allowing him to achieve some level of success. Beyond that, however, he hadn't been able to rise even a single stage for years. But he had a strong feeling about it. The moment he filled the demonic wall with thunder chi, a great change would come to him. Yet, as he looked at the wall, he said, "Well, there's no need to press on further since there's nothing he can do for now. And this won't be the last time he's coming here. He can always try another time." As his stressed body was about to leave, he said, "Who knows? Maybe tomorrow will be the day he finally opened the door. It could be any time." The next day, in the hot sunlit afternoon, at the Counterintelligence Corps headquarters, Saik, the chief of the headquarters, laughed out loud and said, "The unexpected visit of the young lady is making his hands tremble." After greeting her, he then asked, "What brings you to this humble place, third young lady?" With a smile, she replied, "How disappointing. Are they only allowed to visit each other when they have business? Or could it be that the chief has grown closer to her 2 older brothers in the meantime?" Herr Young asked if he's now annoyed by her visits. With a smile, Saik responded, "What would a lowly person like him have to do with the young masters? He merely carried out the orders of someone who provided his little salary, though of course, with a little more care." With a sarcastic look, Herr Young replied, "Then again, since your life is at stake, the price to carry out any task should be expensive." She then said, "Anyway, she's not here today to discuss such matters, so she'll get straight to the point." She asked the chief if he's the one who sent Yang Yahello. Otherwise, the chief of the Counterintelligence Corps would have no reason to dig into the demon cult's affairs. Saik was surprised to hear Yahello was digging into her affairs, then told her not to misunderstand. He had never ordered Yahello to do anything like that since it's something he had never even considered, so it is dumbfounding. Herr Young was speechless, thinking about Saik, the chief of the Counterintelligence Corps. With his sly appearance and behavior, he may seem frivolous at first, but in the cult, there is not a single person who takes him lightly. At one time, he was once considered one of the candidates for the 2nd-rank Ghost Hall leader, a title that only 5 within the cult could obtain. His martial prowess is so overwhelming that even among the cult leader's children and the 7 elders, he ranks within the top 50, and everyone is aware of it. Though he was demoted to the position of the 4th-rank ghost and head of the Counterintelligence Corps for some unknown reason, the Counterintelligence Corps remains a force that cannot be underestimated. That is why, even more so, if he had conspired with her 2 brothers to deceive her, she deemed it only the right thing to exclude him right here and now, even if it means shedding blood. Saik thought to himself that, judging by the way she's acting, it seems like the bastard has gone and done something again. He knew the bastard Yahello is obsessed with money, a pervert who feels pleasure in power, and also a scoundrel who's out of his mind, but he never expected him to go and cause trouble again. He then told Herr Young that he did not have a single idea about it, but it seems that she's here to investigate it. With a slight grin, he told her that Yahello is an absolutely brilliant guy when it comes to handling matters. For a moment, the room went silent. She then told him that she hopes that's not all the information she has on him, since there's a limit to how much she can keep her courtesy. Saik told her he knew, so there's no way he would dare to deceive her. But before that, he told her there's one thing he needed to clarify. He then asked if perhaps she extorted his money, insulted him to his face, or even resorted to violence. Herr Young was surprised by the question, prompting Naraka to ask what kind of nonsense he's talking about. What does he take the young lady for? Saik told her it's a relief if she didn't do all that, because if any of it were the case, she'd be in trouble in a lot of ways. Haeryong wondered if Yiseo isn't truly related to Saik, seeing the way he's reacting. But if that was Yiseo's personal action, she wondered for what reason he was doing so. Saik told her she didn't need to be concerned if she's not involved with Yiseo since Yiseo is that kind of person, after all. She asked what he meant by that. He told her it's natural that she may not know since not a single member of the cult around here knows. It's more like they shouldn't know it. He added that from the 4th rank ghosts, Hwan Ik and Cheol Young, up to the 5th rank ghost Yang Wu, no matter how powerful they were, strangely enough. Anyone entangled in a bad relationship with Yiseo was now tied to irrefutable evidence and exposed as spies. He told her there's no need for him to explain how it ended for them. After all, she must be well aware of it. He praised Yiseo for being quite the professional person. He's known as someone who'll bite and kill until the end, no matter who his opponent is, with the nickname Mad Dog. Of course, he assured her that those fangs would never dare touch the young lady, but he told her it would be better not to get involved with such a person in the first place. He drank his tea, saying it's just advice from a foolish mentor to his former disciple, so he can't help it if she lets it go in one ear and out the other. Haeryong, emotionless, stood up and told Saik to forget it. If it's something he doesn't know about, she'd reprimand him herself later. So she told him to forget about it because, based on Saik, if Yiseo is innocent he'll live. If not, she and Saik will never meet again. Such tactics are the way for Saik to survive. She then bid him farewell, but as they were about to leave, Yiseo came into the room, calling the chief, with his golden sword on his waist. They were all surprised to hear him. Flustered, the chief questioned why the bastard who's supposed to be off is showing up for work today. Such a disaster, he exclaimed. He worriedly told the two of them to quickly get behind the folding screen. Naraka told him to stop with his rudeness, then pushed them towards the screen, while telling them this is the perfect chance to take a look at the guy they want to reprimand. He told them to stay there and he'd figure out the bastard's intentions. Until then, they should stay quiet there. The two were speechless, not knowing what the heck was going on. Yiseo opened the door, then asked the chief why he wasn't answering. As he came in, he saw the chief drinking tea and asked, "What's up with the awkward silence?" Then he sarcastically remarked that such awkward silence is exactly the reaction of those spies who are caught in the act of doing something. Flustered, the chief asked what he meant by something. More importantly, he asked Yiseo what he was doing there, barging into someone's chamber without permission. Yiseo remarked, "When did I ever come in with permission?" The chief's sudden behavior change prompted Yiseo to ask if he's hiding a woman or something. At the same time, behind the screen, Naraka asked Haeryong through telepathy what they were going to do, ready to make the chief pay the price as per her command. But Haeryong told her they should just play along for now, since this might be the chance to reveal whether Yiseo has no connection with the counterintelligence chief, or if he could be involved with someone else. Yiseo placed his hand in his clothes while telling the chief he's quite prickly today out of all days. Then he placed a document on the table and told the chief to approve it quickly, and he'd leave right away. The chief asked if it's an application for a search warrant. He called Yiseo a vicious bastard, then asked who he was targeting this time for him to come on his day off and cause so much chaos. Yiseo sighed, told him it's nothing like that, then told the chief to hurry up and stamp it since he's also quite busy. The chief, seeing there's no point in saying anything to someone who doesn't listen. Also, his coming worked fine since he was about to ask him something anyway. But as he opened the document, his mood went gloomy. He then asked Yiseo what the heck the document was. Yiseo nonchalantly replied that the document was a request for a position transfer. Hearing this, the chief angrily squeezed the paper. Yiseo murmured loudly, saying that the chief was finally getting senile since he's already unable to read. But the chief angrily threw the paper at Yiseo, which he dodged. He furiously told Yiseo that he had finally crossed the line for daring to pull the cult leader's children into his schemes. Yiseo stood up and asked the chief if he was out of his mind. "What schemes are you even talking about?" Yiseo questioned. The chief drew his sword and swung at Yiseo. Flustered, Yiseo told him to stop. They should just use words since he felt really wronged here. But the chief claimed to be the one feeling wronged for taking in an underling like Yiseo. Then he asked Yiseo what was written on the paper. Why would he even think of going to that person if it wasn't some kind of hidden agenda? Not wanting to talk much, he decided to end Yiseo since he was tired of cleaning up after his mess, determined to die together with Yiseo. But before the sword could reach Yiseo, Yiseo got serious and used his sword to block the attack, breaking the chief's sword in half and sending it flying. The chief couldn't believe his blade was broken, but more importantly, he asked Yiseo where he got the gold sundering blade. Something so precious. Yiseo sheathed the sword, then told the chief that he was really desperate right now, even bringing a gift like the sword to him, just in case he couldn't convince him with his words. Then he told the chief to take the new sword and let go of his old sword because this time, he must go at all costs to the 7th young Master Mao's side. The chief had no idea what he meant. Yiseo told him it's because he had made enough money, so he was tired of living as a 7th rank, bowing to others. But things would be different if he became an aide to the cult leader's children, and he could go straight to being a 3rd rank ghost regardless of his background. That was all he wanted. The chief realized that the bastard was serious about what he was saying. Yiseo, in an extremely serious tone, asked the chief to please help his subordinate this once since they had shared good times together. The chief was flustered. "What did we share, you fool?" Thinking about it, he said to himself that at least Yiseo didn't have any ulterior motives. he just had a desire for honor. But even if the conversation they had just now proved his innocence, since Yuseo was already on the third young lady's list, support would be difficult. So he thought it would be better to make Yuseo give up quickly, but he suddenly received a telepathy message. He thought about it, then asked Yuseo if he was really not going to regret it later. Yuseo laughed and told the chief not to forget that he's young Yuseo, so there's no way he's someone who regrets things. He then begged the chief, telling him it would be even better if he could write him a letter of recommendation. The chief called him a fool, then brought out a paper and wrote a letter of recommendation and stamped the transfer documents Yuseo brought. He then gave it to Yuseo and immediately took the sword from his hand. He told Yuseo to take the letter and find Madame Jin-san in Moon River Village. She was in charge of the sentinel exam. Yuseo thanked him for the kind explanation. The chief's expression changed. Then he told Yuseo he wasn't doing it because of the sword he gave him. It was because encouraging his subordinates was merely what he should do as their superior. So since Yuseo was going to do it anyway, he told him to do it well. But Yuseo told the chief that before saying such things he should wipe his mouth first. Anyways, he told the chief he'd be on his way now since he had endured the hardship of the past 10 years alone. Now serious, the chief told him not to forget that wherever he went, he was a member of his corps. So he shouldn't be disheartened by what others said. Of course, he knew better than anyone else that Yuseo was not that kind of person. Yuseo grinned slightly, then thanked the chief for everything up to now. As soon as Yuseo left, the chief told Haryung that her sound transmission to send Yuseo to Madame Jin-san had been clearly delivered. But as she could see, he added, Yuseo seemed to have no other intention besides his own desires, so he asked if it was necessary for her to go that far. Haryung came out from the screen, then told the chief that it seemed he really cared for Yuseo, given that he was worrying so much, which was unlike him. However, she added, knowing Yuseo's impure purpose was another problem, and he should also know how presumptuous his words were, or else she would personally let him know. Yuseo outside clearly knew Haryung had been inside all the while, and he knew exactly what she'd be thinking by now. He himself knew there was no way Haryung wouldn't have plans against him since a sentinel's position was not something that just anyone could take, or rather it was a position one shouldn't reach for. A sentinel was someone who became the right and left arms of the highest position in the cult, which was the first-rank demons, enjoying the power below one person and above all others when the one they served sat in the leader's seat. That was why only outstanding individuals suitable for it served as aides to the young masters. From Narak, one of the former Five Dragons Hall leaders, to Huan Sa, who caused chaos in the martial world, there wasn't anyone who hadn't made a name for themselves. So he could imagine that the young lady's serious personality couldn't take the remarks of a mere 7th-tier ruffian who dared to covet such a position after leering at a woman in the library. So he knew she would likely punish him under the pretense of a test for the sake of maintaining discipline in Qian Mountain. He grinned, because with this, he was now ready to gain solid backing. So he looked forward to seeing Haryung soon, just the two of them intimately. Half a month later, Moon River Village, located on the banks of Moonlight Lake, was the most extravagant establishment of the 10,000 mountains, filled with pleasures like singing, gambling, and prostitution. It was popularly known as the Jade Immortal Guest House. Now a lady came inside, and she was immediately welcomed by the attendant. The attendant asked the lady if she came alone, or if perhaps she was looking for someone. But the lady didn't speak as she was busy looking around, prompting the attendant to tell her to please let her know if she had any other important requests. The lady then pointed at a man sitting across, then asked when he had gotten there. The girl stuttered, then replied that the person was a regular guest in the guest house. She added that he was a true man who had been staying in the annex on the highest floor for the last half-month, throwing money around like it was nothing. Haryung, who was disguised as the lady, angrily gritted her teeth at how pathetic he was. She murmured, wondering if he had been drinking for the past half a month. She calmed down, then asked the attendant if she had just said the Jade Immortal Guest House had an annex and she had never heard of that before. The attendant told her it was understandable since the annex was only for those who qualified. They were the most honorable guests of their cult. She remarked, saying she didn't think he was an ordinary man, then told the lady she would put in a word for her if she was interested. She told the lady to just give her some service fee, and she'd do her utmost best. Yuseo grinned as the lady furiously asked the attendant what nonsense she was talking about. Yuseo then waved at the lady, then playfully asked if she wasn't the prickly lady from the Jagal study hall. He commented loudly, saying he had his doubts, but he was right. Sure enough, he couldn't have mistaken her impressive aura. His words drew people's attention, making them wonder if she was someone important. Some had no idea if he was talking to the lady since they couldn't really see well because of her hat. She angrily gritted her teeth at the bastard Yuseo. Yuseo told her to stop standing and to please come over. They should share a drink now that they had met again. Haryung jumped over, all the way to Yuseo's table. Yuseo romantically remarked that their encounter was no longer a coincidence since it had happened twice, so it was destiny. But it was peculiar since they had both ended up in a place like the guest house. She sat down, squeezing her hand angrily, then told Yuseo that his mouth was still spewing nonsense even after being warned. She said angrily, "Do you not know the concept of being careful with words?" Yuseo thought about it for a moment, then asked if that was really what was important right now. He added, Originally, the Jade Immortal Guest House is a place where people use alcohol in the night as an excuse to indulge in each other's company. So let's talk openly about why you've come to see me, since I know you're the third young lady, using a human skin mask. Immediately as he said that, the room became heavy, and some men sternly looked in their direction. From the portrait a man had in his hand, Yiseo and the disguised Haeryung matched the appearance description he had received from someone, a lady. So he told his men they should get ready because, in exactly 7 minutes, they would get rid of the two of them. The lady was stunned to hear this. She was like, who the hell is this guy? On top of knowing her identity, he also predicted that she would come to him for help. What in the world is he? But then, Yiseo suddenly began laughing out loud. He said that he was just kidding, it was a joke. Why is she taking it so seriously? He added that it didn't make sense anyway, right? Why would the noble young lady be wandering around such a lowly village? If her identity somehow got exposed, her secret adventures would be the only thing people talked about on the streets. Yiseo also said that there was no way the young lady would do something that foolish. Then, with a serious expression, he told her they should stop the useless chatter and get to business. He asked her directly what he had to do for her. The lady stammered and said that she didn't know what he was talking about. Why is he asking her such a question? Yiseo replied, because it is you, my real examiner. Still smiling, he continued, or does she want him to call her by that fake name, Madame Jinsan? Upon hearing this, Haeryung thought, damn it. So he even saw through that. He had seen through her fake name just like that. Madame Jinsan doesn't exist. Even the place Yiseo was told to go was nothing more than a place full of dangerous traps and deadly criminals. However, she wondered, how did Yiseo figure all that out? As if reading her thoughts, Yiseo replied that his job as a spy was exactly investigating, searching, and interrogating. That was his job, and naturally, a person like him would know things others didn't. Even the deepest secrets. In the end, there was nothing in the demonic cult that he did not know about. And then, someone claiming to be the examiner suddenly showed up in the middle of Artisan Village, without him knowing? Impossible. He said that he had definitely known even from the first time she appeared in the village. Back then, he knew something smelled fishy, so he decided not to go. Instead, he waited here, so that the real examiner would come and find him. He handed her a cup of wine and told her, with all these being said, has he answered her lingering questions? The lady sat in stunned silence and thought, if by any chance Yiseo survived that place, she would have spared him the punishment and even reconsidered him for the position. But who would have thought he'd handle the situation in such a way? As Haeryung took a sip of the wine, she said that she had to compliment Yiseo on his thinking here. With a sudden shift in aura and a serious expression, she said, however, he should have still come. It was a very clear order from someone of a higher position and it's his duty as someone inferior to obey. Suddenly, Yiseo stood up abruptly and said, that is indeed true. He sincerely apologized for being unable to fulfill his duty and asked for her forgiveness for this mistake. Seeing this, the lady was stunned. She thought Yiseo would stubbornly argue, but he quickly accepted his own mistake. She then told him to fill her glass. Without wasting time, Yiseo began pouring. Then, the lady asked him to give her a reason why she should choose him, as one of the young master's sentinels. It was a position where children from noble families had met their deaths overnight. She asked, what can he do, as a commoner with no family or status to back him up? Yiseo replied, although that's a rather harsh way to put it, he can overcome that much. With a smile, he declared, he will make the 7th young master so powerful that he will be named as one of the top 3 young masters out of the 7 within a year. Will that be enough of an answer? The lady was surprised and shocked. Really? She said to herself. What an absurd statement, for him to say that with a smile. Then she realized, so what Yiseo is trying to say is that he will bring her or one of her 2 brothers down in the demonic cult. She voiced her thoughts and said she heard Yiseo was crazy. Now that she had seen him and actually spoken with him for a while, the rumors proved to be true. With glee, Yiseo thanked her for the compliment. The lady then said, however, anyone can make claims, but the crucial thing here is whether he have the skills to fulfill that claim. Pointing at her drink, she said, now that they're finally on the same page, prove it to me. He should show her that he is capable of taking care of a few annoying rats. Yiseo laughed out loud and said, he've got no choice here then, since it's an order from his examiner. Turns out they both knew the assassins surrounding them throughout, right from the start of the conversation. With a smile, Yiseo pointed behind him and said he would cover the rear. What side does she want to take care of? Haeryung replied that she had to acknowledge Yiseo for having the guts to suggest her getting involved in the fight. The two shared their cup of wine, and she told him to do as he wished. Just as they were sipping the last cup of wine, the assassins launched an attack towards them with a loud bang, but they were so chill. As the assassins descended, one of them yelled that they should take down the girl first. Their mission was to capture or kill her, but before he could finish speaking, the lady sent a cup with lightning speed, and the cup knocked down the first assassin in an instant, without giving him a chance to exchange pleasantries. The rest of the assassins were like, what the hell? The guy got knocked out with just a mere cup? Nobody told them the lady was this strong. Just what the hell is she? But before the other guy could finish yapping, The lady appeared in his front and stabbed him in multiple places, like it was a game of acupuncture. Blood spilled everywhere, but Hae-ryung remained unfazed, as she was used to brutal killing. Her eyes became red and enraged. The third assassin was about to throw a smoke bomb, but he was so scared that he yelled for someone to save him. He didn't expect the lady to be this strong. Before he could talk, the lady threw a dagger, which pierced his forehead and he fell to the ground. But as he was falling, the smoke bomb in his hand exploded in mid-air. Hae-ryung was like, "Huh, what the hell is this? Poison?" The smoke was not clearing easily, but suddenly she noticed her skin was peeling. She realized that it was not poison, but acid that melts off the surface of a person's skin. Then she figured out that the assassins never intended to assassinate her. Instead, they planned to reveal her identity in front of everyone here and expose her as a nymphomaniac who hid away in Artisan Village, blinded by lust. She gritted her teeth in anger and said, this must be her brother's doing. She couldn't believe that they had gone so far to use such dirty tricks on her. How petty can they be? But suddenly, just as her face was about to be revealed in front of everyone in the tavern, Yahello appeared with a garment and said, "Oh my, look at this rude bastards. Don't they know that it is disrespectful to make a lady reveal her bare face?" Just then, she looked around and noticed that Yahello had taken care of the remaining assassins, leaving them all in cold blood. She thought to herself, this guy is really fast. He is not all talk after all. He actually has the wit to do stuff. She completely wrapped her face, using it as a mask for now, and told Yahello that he should come to the 7th young master's palace in 4 days. He should make sure to keep his promise. If he did not succeed in doing so, she would rip out his tongue by herself. Then she vanished in an instant. Yahello replied that he knew and told her to stay safe. Later that evening, in the same tavern, Yahello laid in the shadows when a lady walked up to him. He then asked the lady, "Did you get rid of the corpse properly?" The lady replied, "Yes, they have been taken care of so that they won't pose a problem to them later. I have prepared everything as you ordered, master," she said. But she's worried that it won't be enough. Yahello said she shouldn't worry about it. It's a bit annoying that someone broke the expensive furniture with all that commotion, but all of those guys acted their part well, just as planned. It turns out that Yahello was the one who planned the attack and everything. Now Yahello was looking at the sales ledger. The performance has increased again in such a short time. He said that this level of achievement couldn't have been done with ordinary efforts, and that she definitely must have worked hard for them to achieve all this. The lady told him thank you, and said, "Your words are too kind, master." She said that even if it were a more difficult task, is there anything that she couldn't do? After all, it is to repay his kindness because he was the one who made her who she is today. This lady turns out to be the proprietress of Huizanru, and her name is Hong Ran. Yahello said that they shouldn't go on about that story again. He has told her many times that the reason why he saved her was for the mutual benefit. Well, although Yahello can't say he doesn't understand why she is this loyal to him, this woman's real name is Mo Yongran. She was kidnapped by the demonic religion before she came of age. She has been long considered missing. She hadn't been seen in the Muram world, and back then, Yahello happened to find and rescue her during a mission in the past. For some reason, they have been together since then. Now, with her innate intelligence and Yahello's support, she has become the proprietress of Wolha village, serving as his right hand. If we are to define their relationship, it's a mutually beneficial relationship, but not as some viewers watching this would think right now, although it seems her thoughts are different, and she can only see Yahello as her master. Yahello sighed and said, "Well, anyway, that's fine. Anyhow, she wants it." He then asked her to tell him about the informations accumulated at Shuizianru. In this world of Muram, demonic and righteous sects, there are various ways for a spy to obtain information, sometimes by buying it with money through local informants or receiving covert support from one's organization. But for a spy like Yahello, thrown into the heart of enemy territory, a more long-term and reliable personal source of information is necessary, which is why he has worked so hard to acquire this very place, Huizanru, for his own personal information organization. Hong Ran then told him that, according to his orders, she had gathered some information. She said that the current state of the demonic religion is truly the calm before the storm. Yahello replied, "That has to be expected. Many things in Tianshan will change depending on who becomes the next young lord, especially the movement of the two most powerful factions within the demonic cults, which are the 7 elders in charge of judiciary affairs and the 5 dragon party overseeing administration. These two main forces are the biggest topic of discussion. Depending on who they support, the outcome of this young lord selection will be determined." Yahello then asked Hongran, who does she think the two factions will side with? Hongran said, "Well, if she may offer a humble opinion, the first young lord, Sean Muji, is meticulous and cruel in everything he does. He is considered the closest to being the leader among the current young lords. On the other hand, the second young lord, Mu Hong Song, is full of spirit in his actions. He treats his subordinates like friends, earning him loyal followers. Therefore, she believes the elders seeking stability will support Mugi, while the 5 dragon party leaders desiring change will support Hang Song." Yahello listened to her remarks. So what she's saying is that the power structure will be divided based on the temperaments shown by the two young lords. Then what does she think will happen to the third young lady? He knows she has the deepest trust of the demon cult leader right now. After a short pause, Hongran replied, "A talented person such as the third young lady shines even when hidden. She certainly possesses outstanding qualities that stand out even among the young lords. But because of this, she will isolate herself even more. Mugi and Hang Seong will see that temperament as a threat. They will try to bring her down first. At most, in half a year, they will start attacking her, and there's a high chance she will fall within that time." Hearing this, Yiseo said he believed that's true. That is likely to happen. He said to himself that he couldn't let Lady Haeryong fall that quickly. At least until that bastard Ma-O settled down. She needed to act as a shield until then. Yiseo sighed and said there were already more than one or two things to worry about. He stood up and asked the lady, "How's Ma-O doing? Is he still a mess?" The lady said yes. Just as Yiseo had ordered her to for the past few days without charging him any fee, they had been treating him like a very important person in their tavern. But he came every day with some ruffians, enjoying drinking and entertainment. They had been causing damage to their establishment. Hearing this, Yiseo said, "So, that bastard of a young master can't control his true nature either, huh?" He then added, "Well, it's fine. Just keep accommodating him for now. Soon enough, we will strip him of everything. We'll get it all back tenfold." A few days later, at the southern edge of Wolha village, in a gloomy bamboo forest, deep within, lay an obviously ominous manor. A messenger walked toward the manor, sighing as he said that he really didn't mean to come here. He had just received orders to deliver a message. He entered the manor, which turned out to be where Ma-O, the seventh young lord, resided. The messenger trembled and told Ma-O that in 2 days' time an aide would be coming for him. After saying this, he added, "That is all." Ma-O snapped and demanded, "Who did you say is coming?" The messenger, now trembling, said, "The aide chosen by Lady Haeryong, Ma-O's elder sister. She was the one who sent him and said that young Master Ma-O should welcome the person warmly. He is a top talent, selected through a rigorous test." But Ma-O grabbed the messenger's neck and growled, "What nonsense are you blabbering about? How dare they say he should welcome the aide? Don't they know how all those so-called aides before him were chased away one after another? How many days do they think it took them to leave in tears?" The messenger apologized, saying he was sorry. He had only come to deliver the message. By now he was losing breath and begged Ma-O for his life. Suddenly Ma-O freed him, pushing him to the ground, then said, "Well, since this person was sent by his big sister, he can't just kick them out right away." He then asked, "What's the guy's name? Who are they sending?" The messenger replied, "The aide's name is Jong Yiseo." Ma-O then asked, "Does the aide hold any position in the demon cult? Given the situation, they probably won't be at the level of a sect leader, but at least a deputy leader, right?" The messenger replied, "No, the aide is not a deputy leader. He is a unit leader, the third unit leader of the counterintelligence unit." Upon hearing this, Ma-O snapped, "How the hell is the aide they're sending him such a low rank? A unit leader? Not even a sect leader? That's way too low." In his anger, he smashed his jar of wine. He then asked the messenger, "Just in case, does the aide have any backing? Or is he the illegitimate child of some prestigious family?" The messenger replied, "No, as far as I know, the aide has no backing. He is probably a commoner from the suburbs." Hearing this, Ma-O laughed out loud and sneered, "Wow, so a commoner will become his aide? A perfect match for a bottom feeder like him is coming to serve him, huh?" Ma-O, as insufferable as ever, said, now he understand why his sister is suddenly sending an aide. He said his big sister must have noticed her little brother's poverty lately and is trying to fill his pockets with some random guy. He laughed evilly and said, "That must be it. Otherwise a wise person such as his big sister wouldn't have picked such a low-ranking guy as an aide, right?" He then smacked the messenger by the waist and said, "This is just great, just a great idea for me." He told the messenger, when the aide arrives, he will rip the aide off his money, strip him down to his underwear, and kick him out. Now he concluded that everything was settled. He told the messenger to get lost and to make sure to tell his big sister that he was grateful. The messenger replied, "Yes, sir, I understand," and said he would take his leave. Just as he was about to leave, Ma-O told him to wait, stretching out his hand and demanding the messenger hand over all the money on him, everything he had got. After collecting all the money from the messenger left. Just outside, the messenger stood shaking his pouch, but it was only dust inside. The messenger said, "Well, I guess it's unfortunate for him. If Ma-O had been an outright unbearable piece of trash, the messenger would have considered killing the seventh young master, even if it was a mission." The messenger began pulling off the mask from his face and revealed himself. It turned out to be Yiseo, who had come here in disguise. He was still angry and said, "Even so, how dare that useless young master empty his pockets of gold? Can he really let this slide just like that?" In the next scene, at the Martial Alliance Hubei branch headquarters, Somi was at her new job, working as a person who deciphered codes and information. She said out loud while reading one of the information scrolls, "It's a good thing the infiltration operations in each region are all progressing smoothly. At this rate, They should be able to establish a more solid information network on the evil sects and demonic religions side. But now she muttered, why does the boss make her wear a mask when she's the only one who can come in here? And why can't she turn on the lights? Her eyes hurt so bad, she can't see anything. Staying in the dark for so long is painful. Now she sighed. From Braille to special process ciphers, there's not a single thing that's easy to read. All the information here is very hard to decipher. She wondered if she should just change her job. As she picked up another scroll, she sighed again. She's getting sick of just smelling dust in this gloomy place. Maybe she should look for work in a brighter place. Suddenly, as she looked at the scroll, she was surprised. This information, isn't this from that AMGAC agent? She wasn't expecting much, but she guessed they were doing something after all. Looking deeper into the message, she was shocked by what she found. From the information, she saw that they were already entering the palace. She gasped. What the hell does this mean? The people they sent have already gotten into the 7 small palaces? How long has it been since they sent them on the mission? Does this mean they're really trying to make that good-for-nothing 7th young lord the next demon cult leader? Is that even possible? In the next scene, after peeling off the mask, Yahello returned to the manor, no longer as a messenger but as an aide. As he walked through the doors, he thought to himself, well, he noticed it when he came as a messenger before, but from the overgrown weeds in the courtyard to the trash scattered everywhere, this place is just a completely abandoned house. But by the way, what's Mao up to? It's a household without any family members, but it seems unusually quiet. It seemed like Mao was sleeping. Yahello entered the room and announced, 7th young lord, are you in there? Even though it was not yet nighttime, Mao was still in bed. Just then, Yahello heard snoring sounds. He stepped closer and announced again, 7th young lord, are you in there? My name is Jiang Yahello. I've been recently appointed as your aide. Can you spare a moment of your time? Mao then told him to come in. Yahello replied, thank you. As he was about to enter, Mao punched through the door, aiming to shatter Yahello's face. Mao yelled, welcome to my palace, low-rank unit leader. He said he would consider Yahello's greetings received, so Yahello should leave his money pouch and scram away, unless he wanted another beating. But just then, it turned out that Yahello dodged the punch and held Mao's hand with a firm grip. Seeing this, Mao was stunned. What the hell is this? This guy dodged his attack? He used all his strength. How is that possible? Yahello then grabbed him with one hand as if he were as light as a feather and flung him to the ground, making Mao fall to his knees. But Yahello didn't stop there. He gave the young master several punches to his stomach, causing him to yell in pain. Seeing this, Yahello smiled and said, as expected, this young master is not just a simple bastard. But with an evil grin, Yahello thought, he can't let this slide. Time for Big Brother to teach you a lesson. Before coming to Mao's residence, Hongran told Yahello that in the demonic religion, there are 3 prestigious families who have monopolized key positions, including the elder roles. Directly assisting the leader is Elder Yi Chan of Mount Shanga, known as the White Demon Sage, who has mediated Tian Shan's conflict, and he belongs to the Thousand family. The third elder, Mang of the Mang Qiuyong family, is known as the Cruel Military Commander, unmatched in loyalty and bravery, while the first elder, Ma Il-song of the Ma family, is considered a rank above the other elders, a tactician serpent who has held the first elder position for 4 generations, and Mao is from this Ma family. He's a descendant of one of the demonic religion's prestigious bloodlines. He was coincidentally selected by the religion leader, who visited the Ma family, and became the religion leader's adopted son. To others, his life might have seemed like a path covered with flower petals, but in reality, it was nothing more than a thorny path filled with rotten weeds. Because the 7th young lord, Mao, was born as an illegitimate child, he was mistreated and made to sweep the family courtyard. Yahello commented that must have been the case. At that time, the one the family was pushing as the religion leader's adopted son was Ma Il-song's eldest son, Ma Yi-sin. Ongran added, that's right, so the Ma family couldn't help but be greatly flustered because the illegitimate child they had neglected caught the religion leader's eye while sweeping the courtyard. So from the Ma family's perspective, it was truly a case of the servant becoming the master. Outwardly, they held a feast, calling it a family celebration, but Yahello knew it was just a perfunctory show for appearances. Among those with insider knowledge, it was already accepted that Mao was an abandoned existence. There were even opinions that the religion leader, Jin Wukwang, had made a political move to keep the Ma family in check. Hongran never expected Yahello to know all that inside information because many of her informants sweated bullets to get the information, so she wondered if there is anything in the demonic religion that Yahello, her master, doesn't know about. She agreed with his accurate info, then told him they could consider it a foregone conclusion. Seeing First Elder Ma Il-seong supporting young Lord Xian Mugi instead of Mao, Yahello commented with a grin that the old man is really cruel to neglect Mao to such an extent, even if he's only half his blood. He wondered what on earth that old coot from Amgak is thinking, for him to want to make a guy like Mao the next religion leader. Maybe he's gone senile or something, but Yahello knew that isn't the case for the old man. Anyways, the conclusion is, Mao, the rascal, has his own story too. Back to the present. Mao knelt, coughing, and trying to catch his breath. Yiseo stood with his intimidating aura. He found the situation to be perfect, because for someone like Mao, such an ideal teaching method is best for an immature brat like him. Yiseo, still groaning, called Yiseo a bastard and asked him what the hell he was doing right now. Yiseo immediately feigned ignorance. He told Mao with a worried expression that he never expected him to be the 7th young lord since he thought it was a sneak attack from the enemy, and before he knew it, he had punched him. He told him he's truly sorry for such rudeness at their first meeting, and he's so ashamed he doesn't know what to do with himself. Mao, still in pain, fainted, foaming through his mouth. Yiseo then commented, "Nice to meet you, Mao. Let's get along from now on, shall we?" A few hours later, Mao woke up, surprised to see himself in his room. Seeing no one else in the room, he thought the lunatic just knocked him out, fixed the door he smashed, and then left. He then saw a letter beside him. From the letter, Yiseo told him he'd take his leave for today since he seemed tired, and he'll visit formally again in 2 days, which is best. Mao became pissed. Who the hell does he think he is to give orders? He angrily tore the paper, then commented, "Has this unit leader really lost his mind?" He recalled what happened earlier while gritting his teeth angrily. He knew he wasn't seeing things wrong because at that time, the bastard was definitely smiling. He was really pissed, but he realized Yiseo isn't an ordinary guy, so he told Yiseo to prepare himself. He'll give him one hell of an initiation, sometime later in Tianshan. Tianshan is a place where all demons originate from and are cultivated as the hotbed of the demonic path. Tens of thousands of cult members who swore loyalty to the cult leader took root in Tianshan and long since formed a small country of their own. Hence, the new religion's control doesn't reach everyone. Some factions freely form organizations and gain power. Among such groups, the Black Dragon faction of Young Tae, a former 6th grade ghost, has dominated Wonha village for quite a long time. It can be called an organization with a solid foundation. And now, in the Black Dragon faction, Mao sat looking gloomy. Young Tae, Black Dragon faction boss, had no idea what was wrong with Mao's mood today, so he decided to match his mood first. He politely asked Mao what brought him to this place without notice, then told Mao they were just gambling among themselves and he could join if he was bored. Mao angrily asked the boss if he looked like someone who's in the mood for gambling. Young Tae apologized. Mao calmed down, then told Young Tae he had an errand for him. There's someone bothering him, so he told Young Tae to take care of that someone named Zhang Yiseo, who'd be his aide starting tomorrow. They were all shocked, because if the person they'd be taking care of is Mao's aide, then that means he's at least a 3rd grade ghost super expert, so there's no way Mao would want them to catch such a monster, or else they'd just die like a puppy. The thought alone sent shivers down their spines. Young Tae then told Mao there's nothing they can do about it since they've already accepted another job, and it'd be difficult to start right away. If it's urgent, he could send word to someone else. Mao angrily slammed the table in half. Young Tae was shocked as Mao broke a 120-kilogram table with steel reinforcement with his bare hands. With a threatening expression, Mao asked if he was sure he didn't have time. Young Tae panickedly replied they had time. They were absolutely overflowing with time, but he told Mao that no matter what, there was no way low-lives like them could possibly deal with someone as noble as his aide. Mao told him not to get scared since the guy is just a 7th grade ghost. Young Tae couldn't believe his ears, then asked Mao if the 7th grade ghost is the one who's supposed to be his aide. Mao replied, "Yes, such a thing is something the heavens would lament about." Speechless for a moment, Young Tae asked Mao with vigor where he found such a bastard. How dare a mere 7th grade ghost sour the young lord's mood? Licking his sword, he told Mao not to worry, they'd make sure to teach him a lesson he won't forget. Seeing Young Tae's sudden confidence, Mao stood up and told Young Tae he should gather some useful guys tomorrow. He should not be late, or else he'd die. Young Tae told him there's no way he'd be late. With a smile, they all told Mao to take care on his way. As soon as he left, their expressions changed. Young Tae commented, "Finally, the ruffian bastard who only shows up when he needs something is gone." Anyway, he decided to gather the boys quickly. Thinking out loud, he tried recalling what the 7th grade ghost's name was again, when someone from behind told him it's Zhang Yiseo. Young Tae recalled, but he took a pause and asked the guy who he was. Didn't he know only executives are allowed to be here in the young lord's meeting? The guy stuttered, then apologized, telling Young Tae he didn't know since he was new. He then ran out to leave right away. Young Tae commented, "How are they training kids these days?" But he wondered how long the guy had been in the meeting. The guy closed the door and removed his human skin mask. He laughed slightly, saying, "As expected, Mao is really predictable," but he deemed Mao's level of defiance to be necessary since it makes it more satisfying to educate him. The next day, Young Tae told Mao, who was sitting on the stairs, that all the boys had gathered. Mao told him, "Good," then asked if everything's ready. Young Tae confidently replied, "Of course," as if I'd slack off on my orders. "I have gathered only the toughest, most battle-hardened men." He told Mao he wasn't going to brag, but in the Tiger Dragon party where he was, a 7th grade ghost would barely qualify as a horseshoe-polishing gatekeeper, and there's nothing such a guy can do in front of his men. He guaranteed he'd be on his knees begging for mercy, and he'd be lucky not to wet himself. Someone then announced that Kang Yiseo was here. Yiseo was confronted outside by their most battle-hardened men. In front of him was a big-looking Manchi. The big guy is the vice leader of the tiger faction, known as Catfish. He asked Yiseo if he's the one they're talking about. He heard he had been disrespectfully cozying up to the 7th young lord lately. Yiseo, not scared one bit, replied yes, then asked the guy who he was. He remarked, telling the guy that he must have a wide field of vision, seeing that his eyes are quite far apart. The guy told him his name is Catfish. Yiseo agreed, since such a name suits him, then sarcastically asked if it's okay to have a catfish in the Black Dragon faction. He could understand if it's a loach, but a catfish is something else. Catfish angrily asked Yiseo if he's comparing him to a fish, then immediately resorted to using his fist. Inside the building, Mao asked if they're starting the lesson already, hearing the noise outside. Yongtae didn't know either, since he told them to wait until the young lord arrived. But he guessed the boys couldn't hold back. As he opened the door, he told Mao that sometimes his men act on their own because of their excessive loyalty to the young lord. But to their surprise, Catfish was already on the ground unconscious. Yiseo commented while searching Catfish's pocket. "For a thug, why are your pockets so empty? Nothing worth taking, nothing at all." Mao stepped forward, surprised to see Catfish on the ground. Yiseo stood up as he saw Mao, then politely told him that his assistant, Zhang Yiseo, is reporting for his first day of duty. He asked Mao how he's feeling now since he was quite flustered earlier and committed great disrespect. "You dare ask about my well-being?" Mao commented, then asked Yiseo what kind of joke this was. Yiseo laughed, "I get that compliment a lot," then asked Mao who all these people were. Did he gather so many for his welcoming ceremony? Mao replied, "The more the merrier. I gathered them so Yiseo can enjoy it until he drops dead." Then asked Yiseo if he still wanted to be his servant. Yiseo replied, "Of course my dreams are grand, but my background is somewhat humble, so I hope to advance my career by your side. In simple terms, I'm trying to grab onto a lifeline." Mao laughed, called Yiseo a fool, told Yiseo he had come to the wrong place if that's what he's after, since his own life has hit rock bottom. But Yiseo told him not to worry about it, then said to himself that he knew Mao better than anyone else. He told Mao that he just needed to follow him up there, to the high position. Mao was speechless, wondering if this guy was being serious right now, but he came back to his senses, thinking he had finally gone mad for listening attentively to the nonsense of a measly 7th-grade ghost. He gritted his teeth angrily, then asked Yongtae how long he was going to let Yiseo talk like that. He should get to work. Yongtae immediately told his men to stop standing around in a daze. It was time to work and they should give Yiseo a warm welcome. As they charged towards Yiseo, Yiseo told Mao that he also thought what he said was right, the more the merrier. To their surprise, some masked men jumped out of the blue, standing behind Yiseo. The men paused, worried, and asked who the guys in red were, but seeing the blood-red clothing, they realized they're the counterintelligence unit. Yiseo commented, "These guys came here so fast, when did I even call them?" Well, now that all their guests seem to have arrived, shall we start the real welcoming ceremony?